This is our first video critique. I'm going to do this every single week. I'm going to make a screencast, look through your photos, talk a little bit about them. And now I hope, just as in a normal class, you would listen to the entire video. I'm not going to know if you watch the entire video or fast forward it to your specific one, but if you do listen to what I have to say about other people's photos, then you might help your work as well. But it's not mandatory, but I really like you to. Okay, so from here, I'm just going to go through. Sometimes I'll go forward, backwards through them. I can already see that Brittany, I'm only seeing one photo in there. If they're in the photo stream, just make sure you drop them in there and then just email me about those. The Flickr video shows you how to do that, or if you forgot, just email me and let me know so we can get your photos in there, so I know which ones you took. Okay, so we'll look at Jordan's. I can see you uploaded the ones from the assignment before, and then these are the ones for the fill the frame and the rule of thirds. So good job with this one. Of course, that's on the thirds there. I also really like how you can see the motion in the water, and this week we'll talk about motion and how to obtain that manually, or being able to trick your camera, because I see down here you've got a point and shoot, so you might not have all those kind of manual settings. So there are ways that you can tell it to make a slower shutter speed, and it's going to take some practice, but we'll talk more about that. The only negative thing I can really see about this one, and it could be a little bit of my monitor, but it looks very blue. The color looks a little bit off, and I can see when you go down here, if you do show EXIF info, it shows all this other information. And right here, we're looking at white balance. And I'm going to talk about white balance more as the class goes on. I know I'm skipping ahead a lot with both these things, but it says automatic. And 99% of the time, a lot of people just use automatic because they don't have to think about it. But it seems like it cheated you on this a little bit because it gets a little bit of blue tone. And maybe you like the way that turns out. It's artistic decision. I'm just talking out loud about this stuff. So now this week we're learning Picasa. So if you wanted to, you could change that color in Picasa, and then I will grade the one later. You can always, anytime with these critiques or any of the grades that I give you, always feel free to defend your work. Let's say I give you a B or a C, and you think, wow, I really spent a lot of time on that. Maybe I just didn't understand, your theme or what you were doing. So always feel free to, question me. Okay, so as you can see on these, see how nice and green that is compared to that? You're not getting that green pop. So that's what I'm talking about, kind of the color. Again, yeah, rule of thirds. I wish this was a little, or the background was a little less in focus. And next week we're going to learn about depth of field. So yeah, that's my only thing with that one, but it's good. I mean, it tells a lot of story. There's a lot of story in the image. Obviously, it's some sort of outdoors activity that's going on. Good, nice leading lines like we talked about with that composition right there. I'm sure a lot of people, it happens a lot with cameras. Our eyes are different than cameras in the way they work. So when you have shadow spots, they're of course going to be very dark. The sun is very bright, so you get these kind of pockets. I think it works nicely with this one. Just be careful of that. So of course, this came out really nice considering it's in a shadow. And the more control you have over your camera, you can tell it to overcompensate, to be brighter or to be darker, depending on the camera you have. Be careful. See this little circle there and that little circle there? That's just some lens flare, so it's the sun coming in through your lens. If it's artistic decision, great. If it's not, just be aware of how to take care of that. And for this photo, it's as simple as, when you put your hand up to above your eyes to create shade for your eyes so you don't get basically lens flare in your eyes. Same thing with your camera. Just put your hand over your camera to create a shadow on your camera, so that'll alleviate that sort of thing. Cool, I think this one's my favorite one out of all of them. Just kind of nice composition. You did really good with these lines matching up to the end of your frame. Definitely rule of thirds. Just an interesting piece to look at. If I could do one thing differently, I wish there were some darts in here, but yeah, good job on that one. So this goes for everybody. So from there, from my critique and from the critiques that your classmates are going to give you, you can now decide, I'm happy with my photos, don't touch them, or you could maybe edit them in Picasa, or after seeing everyone else's photos, maybe you think, wow, I really have to step up and take some better photos. So just think about that. Okay, definitely doing the assignment here. And photos that have a subject looking into the frame like this is a lot more pleasing versus had the frame been cut off right there. Oops. You kind of wonder what your subject, cat, person, whatever, is looking at. So yeah, good job with that one. And graphic designers love dead space like this, so they can write, cat walking school, Monday through Friday, 11 to 2 p.m. or whatever it is. Or you can kind of think the other way that it is a lot of dead space, but at least it's solid, that it's not something, we're looking more at the cat than all this space here. Okay, assume with this one, okay, so you have something here on your third, and filling the frame as well. I would say with this image, it's kind of busy in terms of, I don't really know where I'm supposed to look. Am I supposed to look down here at the water? Am I supposed to look at the trees? That sort of thing. Maybe think of a different angle. You don't always have to take your photos at eye level. If you can get really low, maybe you can climb a tree behind you and photograph it differently. Show people a different perspective of it. Okay, good job filling the frame. And you can see how where the light's coming from. So the sun's coming from behind, and it gives that cat a lot of depth. And see that hair light right there? So it kind of pops off the background. Let's see. And if you ever see me scrolling down, I'm just kind of looking at your settings here, and we'll learn what all these are. So that one's our aperture, which has to do with depth of field, which we go over next week. This is your shutter speed, which we go over this week. This is the millimeter of your camera, so how wide or how zoomed in you shot it. ISO is basically, in a sense, it's the quality. It's the sensitivity to light that your camera has. All those things we're going to go over, but don't worry about them really right now. Okay. Yeah, good job filling the frame. Maybe a different crop on it might be interesting, because this one is, with kind of thinking about the rule of thirds, kind of smack dab right in the center. So maybe had you cropped it over a little bit, maybe even if you crop some of the wing out. Beauty of digital, you can crop it, look at it, and see if you like it or if you don't like it. Can you see how noisy and kind of grainy that wing is? And that has to do with your ISO. The higher the number, the more you're going to see that. Versus the one before this was at a lower number, and it's a lot sharper. There's not as much of that noise in the image. But again, that's for another day. So yeah, good job with those. Also, for future assignments, think about your subject matter. Don't always just shoot 4 of the exact same thing. Let's say it was motion, and you're photographing a friend running or riding a bike or something. Don't just submit 4 riding a bike. Think of some other things. I don't get too picky about it, especially if they're really good images, but just keep that in mind. And also just make sure you're shooting a lot of photos, about 100-ish per assignment. Okay. I think this, yeah. Okay. All right, so definitely putting that at the bottom there. Check this horizon line. It looks, I'm being very picky, a little off kilter. This side looks a little bit lower than that side. I could be wrong. When you put them into Picasa, one of the things there is you can adjust that leveling. I always, always, always have to fix my horizon line, so it's something very tiny. Love this boat here. I wish there was a little bit more separation from the grass to the boat, but I understand if you can't get on a ladder or anything, or stand on a building or a car, you won't be able to get that. But yeah, that's really good. Yeah, I wish just it's something little, just time of day. If the sky was a little bit more interesting, we get some blue coming through there, but I wish there was a little bit more going on. Yeah, very cool, just kind of fine art, artsy, abstract image, and especially to be able to do this in the summer. I mean, it definitely looks like a winter scape. Um, that kind of leading line that draws you up. I would try this one, maybe in black and white. I mean, it's already almost so close to black and white, but in Picasa, maybe try that and see if you like that better or not. I mean, there's just a little color there and maybe a little bit of blue in the sky, but see if that works for you or not. I really like that one. And that, because like each side is going out of the frame, it looks, appealing to the eyes. Versus if it was just this side, but everything else, there was space around it, might look a little different. But yeah, good work with that one. Another good job filling the frame, and the same here. You can get away with cutting off the petals there because you cut off the petals there. Not sure if you took a bunch of these, but look at one where you cut off the petals on one side and not on the other, and see if you like one or the other. Very sharp. Yeah, great flower photo, especially because the background is so solid. I mean, even though it's a lot of leaves and busyness in the background, we're really not looking at it. We're really looking right there, and it has to do with some of the depth of field as well. All right. So again, this looks a little tilted to the right. Tiny, tiny thing. Um, there's a couple like this thing and that. Sorry, that thing keeps popping up. That flower and that flower, to me, doesn't add to all this interestingness that's going on. So I don't know if you could try cropping it, but I don't want to lose too many of these guys there. Or had you have just stood up a little bit. But I think there's a lot of different crops or ways you could have framed this to be very interesting. You know, maybe it's just that part of the frame there. Um, and maybe different time of day. Let's see, does this tell me date and time? So yeah, almost 2:45 in the afternoon when it's really, really sunny. I really like photos that are kind of hour after sunrise, hour before sunset, but it depends on, of course, what you're photographing, to each his own, that sort of stuff. But if this is near your home where you're at, definitely try it, especially for this motion assignment this week. Try it at different times of day, and get some good motion, because it's hard to get motion, especially at 3 in the afternoon when the sun's really bright, because you're took at 1/400th of a second, which is pretty fast, to be able to stop all these individual, beads of water. Just a thought on that one. But yeah, good job definitely filling the frame on that. I think that was your last. Oh no, this one too. All right, cool. So this one is definitely off kilter, but I think it works in this one. You can see that tree is straight up and down, and maybe that's just leaning to the left. Maybe if you shot it kind of wide, yeah, you shot it very wide, so it kind of creates maybe a little bit of curvature there. Great blue sky. You get that depth because that sun, you can see the shadow there, so obviously the sun's kind of coming from that back left angle. And I like that there's no cars, power lines, modern buildings, anything like that. So this easily could have been photographed yesterday or 50 years ago. I really like when an image does that. Something maybe to try. Does that tree add to the image? If you crop there, but we don't want to lose that maybe. So just something to look at. Play around with that. Also, I might try this one in black and white and see if you like that or not. All right, so that's the ones from before. Okay, we'll move on. Okay, so okay, definitely filling the frame here. I mean, you're very close there, but we can see that peak right there. Um, yeah, nicely done. I like just how everything, being a church, seems like everything's pointing upward, leading to heaven, leading to God, if you want to look at it that way. Um, a little bit of contrast with this one, I think, would just make everything pop a little more. It's a slightly drab to me. Maybe try in black and white as well. That might be pretty cool. Just depends on if you like that red brick or not. And again, time of day. So you shot this one, close to 10 o'clock at night, I guess. So is that right? Yeah. So of course, it looks like the sun's over here. In the morning, the sun might have been coming this way and had some cool shadows across the front of it. So just try it different times of day. When I shot a lot of real estate, I always had to scout and go to the building in the very early AM as well as at night, just because the sun would hit the building, on the front at the one time and on the back on a different time. Okay, again, here with the ISO, see how grainy that looks? That noise that's there? 3200 ISO. So just keep those sort of things in mind. You're getting some cool color here. I don't know if like these things really help us. Um, I do like this. I don't know. There's something about it. Maybe again, different time of day. But yeah, no, not bad at all. I'm sorry, I don't have much more to say about that one. That's good. Just the expression on his face. And okay, so in the book it talks about, you learn the rules, then you throw the rule book out the window. Like I said about that cat photo, the cat was looking into the frame, he's looking out of the frame, but it doesn't seem to bother me at all. Maybe it's just that expression on his face. And I love images with a lot of story to them. I mean, instantly we see that reflection with the American flag in there, which is pretty cool. Maybe thinking about a crop, maybe just to the left of this, so all the lines end in the end of the frame. Maybe try that. Yeah, good job on that. All right, so I'm at my 15-minute mark, so I've got to stop this video and I'm going to make another one, and then the critiques will carry on from there.